New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where BRZ and Rev and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
Well, good morning to everyone. This is Ministers Talking Shit here on Positively Inspiring New Thought Media Network. Hello there. I'm a Reverend Michael in this side, on this chair, and that is
Reverend Z on this side, and glad to be here.
Oh, man. Z, we were talking beforehand, and we're saying, you know what? Just not enough news. You know, maybe we should just go home and well, anyhow, again, this is an interactive program here. This is not just us talking shit. This is you again putting in your comments here. And let's see here. Good morning, Linda. Linda's already with us here from the mountains of Colorado. Good morning. Of course, Wayne is here, Wayne Baldwin. Now, Wayne, do we have to pay a tariff on you? Wayne's from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and I'm wondering if we have to, when he chimes in, do we have to pay a tariff? I don't know. We'll have to check with Reverend Robert about that. Oh, my goodness. So much to talk about, Z. Where do you want to begin?
Well, the first thing I want to first begin with sending prayers and good wishes to the folk of Myanmar.
Right. Yes.
They just had a 7.7 earthquake.
Yes.
In Myanmar that was felt all the way over in Thailand. And I think a building in Thailand collapsed. And I think at least they've reported a couple of people have lost their lives. So we send prayers and hope and all the good stuff and money too, if we got it and can send it to help those that need it. I know it's needed all over the world and here, there, and everywhere, but wherever you feel called to give $5, whatever you can give, it helps. And so that's where we want to start.
Yes, that was the top story this morning. And again, usually the top stories are something that happens in this country from the White House, but that was nice on CNN to see that this morning. That again, so our prayers and best wishes are with our friends in Myanmar. Yes, man, that's a devastating earthquake. Wow.
Yeah, and right after that is just thinking about global culture and global artifacts and stuff. I was sad to wake up and see that a few minutes ago, I'm not sure when he signed it, one of the infamous executive orders, but Trump signed an executive order threatening to gut the Smithsonian Institute funding unless it improves ideology. Right? Now,
well, the ideology is their ideology. What they want is to go ahead and to smooth over and whitewash.
Yes.
Literally whitewash all of again taking things that are culturally enriching and then going ahead and then using it for propaganda. And that's exactly what's going on here. This is,
quite
this
scary.
is all again in a plan to go ahead and to change the narrative. And that's the reason why everyone's voice is so important here. That this is not a time to stay quiet. This is a time to make some good trouble, as John Lewis says.
As I say now, this is not a spectator sport right now. Everybody got to be on the field. not a spectator.
Everybody, and it's been just interesting here, seeing again the world, and that one of the things that Z and I were talking about before we went on the air was, I know for me as a minister, it's my concern is for not only the people of my community here in Akron, but also for, how do I support people on New Thought Media Network who go ahead and who watch us? We have a community here. So, how do we support that? And for me, one of the ways to support that is just by being real with individuals and saying, yeah, the house is on fire here, but we need to continue to again to start coming again to keep coming from a place of love, and to take care of ourselves, and also to learn how to love other people that have a diametrically opposite viewpoint of us. And I was telling you about my neighbor next door, who wrote all over his Trump sign stuff like, well, end all wars. Well, who's doing the sword rattling now? Who wants to go after Greenland? Who wants to go after Canada, for God's sakes? We have enough issues here. Oh my goodness. Let's see here. And if that wasn't enough, this whole idea of the Yemen group chat. What do you think about that? You're a computer expert here, Z. What do you think about that? So for those of you not familiar with the story, what happened is that inadvertently a journalist was put into a Signal chat, which that's something that they can go ahead and erase afterwards, about military plans for Yemen. And that Signal chat is not that secure. Z, do you want to explain a little bit more why all the outrage?
Well, first and foremost, Signal has been around for a minute, but it came into vogue, if you will, once Twitter. Well, that was part of it. Twitter got purchased by another company, and it is encrypted, so it has some level of security. However, it is not government secure. Having worked with the government and having had a secret clearance, and having spent some time in that environment, there's certain things that to the public may seem innocuous, but in terms of military strategy or security strategy, it's should be very classified and very secure. And the real deal is they would still be using Signal right now, has someone, and they've pointed the finger at Michael Waltz as the culprit of adding the journalists who he says didn't happen. I mean, Pete Hegseth and Gabbard and the guy from the CIA and Mike, everybody's playing hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. But the evil was done because we got the motive. I mean, we got the chat.
Right.
And it's ridiculous to say that you're giving military coordinates. You're indicating the type of warcraft that you're sending to the military zone.
Timing too.
And so now, if I'm the enemy, I know what you're sending, so I know how to combat. I know the time you're sending, so I'm sitting ready and waiting. And I know what the counterpoints are. We're going to send the F-18s, and then we're going to send the bombs. So I know exactly what's happening.
Right.
And that's scary.
Well, yes, and that so again, I'm reading from I get from CNN the 5 things you need to know for today, and this is about the Yemen group chat, saying that let's see here. Since Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, published his article revealing details of the highly sensitive strike plans, Democrats have been counting for accountability in the incident, which they argue endanger national security and U.S. troops. Some Republicans have described the security breach as a glitch or a mistake, like January 6th.
Yeah.
I got a few comments about that real quick, but
and
go ahead. Go ahead, Z.
No, I was just going to say that the length at which the Republicans are going to write this off, oh, it was just a mistake. Mistakes happen. It wasn't secure. You know, all of the excuses make no sense. And it's like, really, when are we going to acknowledge the mistake as a mistake and you know, take some actions? Now, you know, people saying, well, Michael should be let go of his duty. I'm not gonna comment on that, but there should be some repercussions, I think, whether it was non-secure or not. Just to put ourselves in that position requires some kind of response other than it was a mistake. They're working hard. Everybody knows what they're doing. The mission was a success. Okay, yeah, that's not the point at hand. The point at hand is we have set up a precedent, or at least we've set up one instance where those at our top level of national security have shown a lapse in their judgment. And if they show a lapse in that judgment, what else will they be lapsing in or have already lapsed in?
Yeah, and so individuals are also pointing towards the whole idea that maybe this isn't just the first time this has happened. We have to watch our P's and Q's this morning. Robert's watching. Good morning, Reverend Dr. Robert. Good to see you in the house this morning. So anyhow, I put up on Facebook again memes, not to cause trouble, but to have people think. And so the meme was of a yard sign that says it mentioned December 7th, 1941. It mentioned 9/11, and it also mentioned January 6th. And it says, we will never forget.
Mm-hmm.
So from my mega friends are saying the first two okay, but the last one no.
Yeah.
Because again, that, and so the argument was that, well, how about what happened during the George Floyd? All those people, those 900, I forget the number, but all those people, all the law enforcement who were injured and the government buildings that were burned down.
Yeah.
We're talking about people reaction. We're not talking about going up to the seat of the government and trying to alter election results.
Mm-hmm.
And so again,
and threatening to kill people, hang people.
Right. And and hang people too. I don't know if I was Mike Pence is a lot more forgiving than maybe I would be. So someone went ahead and there was a rope held up by some of the demonstrators outside, and they said, so yeah, it's some individuals that I know say, Mike, why do you put that stuff up? And the reason being is because I want to be in active dialogue with these individuals. It's again, without the name calling, which again, I've heard from individuals saying, well, they're the stupids. No, they're not. No, it's that their viewpoint, for some reason in their brain, their viewpoint has been altered. And I think what I'm seeing, and this is what I'm seeing, is a lot of white rage. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of individuals who are of a lighter complexion. Just again, they don't like losing their power. And so that's what's happening. And
here's a real interesting point. So we look at what happened during January 6th, and it's been said people were exercising their right to protest and so forth. Okay. And some people get arrested and then they all get pardoned. Now, if you look at what ICE is doing to some college students, in terms of their protests and free speech, they're being kidnapped, if you will, or snatched from college campuses and put in detention for no other reason than being able to have freedom of speech, which is one of the constitutional rights of this country. Now, I'm not quite sure what the difference is if if we're looking at it from free speech and right to protest. If I protest something that's not in alignment with the administration, although it is legally rightful for me to do so, what precedent is that going to set now for people being able, even if you actually see the injustice, you can categorize it and you can classify it. Will you be fearful that if you say something, even if you're a natural born American, will you be fearful of being snatched up? And if you look at what we talked about earlier, this Smithsonian Institute order, that's anything that's not in alignment with what the government's view is at this point, the administration of what's proper. I mean, if they can take down actual real war heroes off the roll book for something that we know categorically happened. One of the individuals at Iwo Jima, I think, was a Native American or was Hispanic, or maybe probably was a Native American, and they want to get rid of that, right? The symbol of the Marines, right? They want to take down one of the do something there because there was a Native American there, an indigenous person. And so when we look at this, at first people rail, but it dies down. The thing goes into effect. They start. I mean, because for me, I'm encouraging everyone, myself included. If you have not seen the African American Museum at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., go see it as soon as you can, because it may not be there, right? This is the stuff that this administration is doing.
Let me get, we'll get Linda here in the conversation here. And Linda says, weekly I call my U.S. Senator and Representative about 1 to 2 select issues. I use the U.S. Capitol switchboard. Yes. Thank you, Linda. Again, we need to be letting, and especially our Republican representatives, that no. Okay, so again, another act of changing the narrative. So what they're saying here is, with the uprisings at the town halls, is they're saying, well, George Soros went ahead and paid for all these protesters, all these individuals to come in and to go ahead and to cause trouble. GOP, I don't think that George Soros has that. I mean, he has billions, but to go ahead and to to bring in individuals to go ahead at your town hall, you are hearing from your constituents, not only Democrat, but Republican and independent, that are saying, we don't like what's going on. And especially when I'm starting to hear from some of the individuals who voted for Trump, is they're saying, we didn't put him in here to do this. Well, folks, come on. I mean, what did you expect? He went ahead and he laid out the whole game plan during his campaign. He said that he was going to do this. Trump 2.0 was going to be, again, the revenge tour. One more thing here. Let's see here. Linda says, if the cabinet were military, they could be dishonorably discharged and face felony charges with possible prison time. Absolutely. So the question here, Z, is how can we, as spiritually aware people, how can we get through this time? How can we act honorably? How can we come from a place of love and not of hate? How can we support one another through this seemingly dark time? Your comments about that?
Yeah, I think we first of all have to be realistic and acknowledge that there will always be contrast, counterpoint, things that cause us to look at the world differently. Whether it's I burnt my toast this morning and I can't eat my breakfast right now, to the HHS laying off 10 people in the midst of a measles crisis, and there's evidence of some statements being made about vitamin A can cure it, and people are now showing up with liver damage.
Children,
children,
showing up at hospitals with liver damage. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think we have to begin to be realistic about life is not a straight line. We know that. We know life is a series of twists and turns and cycles and spirals that allow us, if we're aware enough, if we're conscious enough, and if we're committed enough to creating a world that works for all, that as we make these circles or traverse around, we learn from that. When I'm in a very bad place and I may myself say things or do things that are not honorable according to whatever, I should learn from that so that when I get back around, I have a better perspective. I have a better way of operating. I can operate from a more integral place and not do what the enemy does, if you will, to make it stark, right? So that's the first thing we have to do. And then the second thing we have to do, I think we have to begin to find what we have to contribute to making this a better place, and do that, and don't do it in isolation, right? Because I love the analogy. If something's wrong with my heart, I want the cardiologist. If something's wrong with my lungs, I want the pulmonologist, right?
Yes.
And I want them to know everything they can about those systems, but I don't want them to work in in a vacuum. I don't want the heart guy saying, yeah, well, we need to do this, but then that may affect my respiratory, or my respiratory may affect my circulatory or pulmonary.
Right.
So we have to begin to, as they say, think globally, but act locally.
Absolutely.
That's what that means. We have to look at the whole thing, but we have to act right here, aware of what's going on in the wholeness of whatever we're dealing with, whether it's the body or the globe.
And again, the individuals, and so again, the comments, the criticism is that, well, you, especially you in New Thought, that you should not raise your voice, or this is too political. Folks, listen. As I explained to many others here, we're talking about changing the race consciousness. The race consciousness is changed by people, again, speaking up, speaking out against this stuff.
Mhm.
The time to do the speaking up and the speaking out is now.
Yes.
Now is the time, before, and hopefully they don't come for you or me or Z or anybody else.
Yes. Yes.
So now is the time that we speak up. Now is the time to call your congressman, your congresswoman. Tell them again that this is unacceptable here. That, and you know, Z, I've been thinking about this, that how do you change individuals who have a core belief system, and how do you change individuals who have, like, for example, an ideology that and I'm just thinking of you know, myself when I was a Pentecostal fundamentalist individual. How did I come out of that into New Thought? And the thinking was that what I started to do was I started to see some inconsistencies to what I was told and what I was reading. And so what happened was, then once I started to see the inconsistencies, is that then, oh, maybe there's another way to look at this. So that's the reason, again, that I keep in contact with individuals on Facebook and others that about the whole idea that if I go ahead and I start pointing out some of these inconsistencies, that maybe, just maybe, that it'll start. I may not change them in the moment, but if I go ahead and I, you know, again, use the drop principle, that hopefully that individuals will start seeing again that some of the inconsistencies, and then start questioning. Then start questioning their belief systems and the people that they support. We're starting to see that now, I believe, and the evidence is through some of the special elections that we've seen so far in traditionally red areas that are going Democratic. We're starting to see that at the town halls where individuals are speaking up and speaking out. It's not just one place. It's around the country. People are outraged about their family, their friends, their brothers and sisters, again, and veterans being let go. And again, that I think that this is part of the plan, again, of changing the narrative of, and I'm thinking of VOA, the Voice of America. They go ahead and they lay off what it was like 1,500 individuals, and also, shut down the only government-owned shortwave station down Greenville, North Carolina. They go ahead and they shut all that down because, again, that they don't want. Again, they're trying to control the narrative.
Well, and not only that, they also are, in addition to that, they are throwing so much at people with all of this stuff coming from every angle to get you just worn out so that you just think that it's hopeless, throw up both your hands and just walk away. And that's part of the strategy. How do we create diversion from the main thing, right? They got all this other stuff going on, but the main thing as I see it is we want to change the narrative of who we are as a country and what we stand for and the history of how we got here. So these things about the Smithsonian and DEIB and all these other things that they're dismantling to wipe away the contributions that others have made to this country is the main thing, because at that point, when you go through an education process, that's also being torn down. When you go to a military place, there's whitewash that. And what we have to do, I believe, there's a saying that goes, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. However, that's not your mandate. Your mandate is to create a thirst so that they want to drink. And I think
Absolutely.
and I think that is what's beginning to emerge. That when people who may have voted for the current administration or not, or been on the sideline or not, a thirst has been created now to, like, as you said, if they do it to that person, will they do it to me? And when you said that, this whole that song of what you gonna do when they come for you, and there and
That's right.
it's a very thin line of knowing, all these executive things. Now the landscape has changed so much. You can do very little and may be on the wrong side of one of these orders, and they come for you, and you don't even know
Absolutely.
what you've done. And so we have to be diligent and be conscious minded with spirit and faith leading that charge of we have to stay aware. We have to be able to uh, put spirit, divine intelligence against nonsense of how to navigate a new landscape. The map is not necessarily the territory, and right now a new
Right.
map is being drawn,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And we need to have that GPS, that God positioning system, to really begin to say, okay, what's my center? What do I stand for? What will help create a world that works for all, from the plants and the rocks to the humans and the animals, so that we can live in a semblance of harmony and balance, knowing that contrast will happen because that's the way of the world.
So, one of the things I'm recommending for individuals to do is to get with like minded people and again to form communities. And again, that people who watch our network are usually involved in one or two communities. So, and I again just recommend that to find a tribe, that supports you so that you don't get burned out, so that you don't get overwhelmed. And that's one of the reasons why on Friday evenings with the Friday evening fireside chat here on your New Thought Media Network, shameless plug, that my show is that we talk about the news, but we also talk about what we can do from a spiritual perspective here. I know again during this time I'm really learning what it means to love my neighbor. There's been some times in which I wanted to go over and knock on the guy's door and say, well, how about Panama, or how about Greenland, or this guy's sword rattling and wanting to take sovereign territory away from individuals, and that's peaceful. That's the ending of all wars. We're not going to even get into Ukraine. But I think that again, to have this contrast, and again, the time to act is now.
Yeah.
The time to form communities to go ahead and to, again, to change the narrative, is, change the narrative towards the positive, change the narrative to say, listen, what is going on is morally corrupt. What we're seeing here is what happens when government goes wild, and that one person is the dictator and can, with the signature of, with his big Sharpie, go ahead and, dictate from the White Castle, not the White House, the White Castle, again, dictates. So again, let your heart not be troubled.
Is the White Castle where you go get the hamburgers? Is that the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good ham. I mean, good. Oh man. Well, anyhow, anything else, Z?
Yeah, I would just encourage people, now that spring has sprung and the weather is beginning to be a little schizophrenic, but it's tending towards the warmth and the rejuvenation that spring brings. Let us begin to cultivate that spring mind, and as we begin to plant our flowers outside and cultivate the land to get ready to plant them and get to select the seeds that we're going to put in our garden, let's do the same thing for our lives. Let's begin to cultivate the soil of our minds, of our bodies, of our communities, so that we can plant flowers of hope and gardens of justice and trees of uprising, so that we begin to live and be examples rather of what it takes to be a community, of what it takes to live in harmony with the world.
Yes.
So that we have a place to continue to have these discussions. I mean, there's always going to be contrast, but if we can sit down and discuss them and look at the point, counterpoint, and determine what's best for all and not just for me or some small group,
right,
things will get better. Things will get better.
Absolutely. Well, Z, so do you have a action-packed weekend? Are you preaching the word on Sunday?
No, I'm not. I have a guest minister, and I'm going to go and be in the audience and just soak it in, and try to do some spring cleaning, get some things around the house, start cleaning the garage out, all the stuff that you packed in, that I packed in there during the winter, and start making space for some new stuff.
So I get to go
that law of circulation.
Yeah, so I get to go haul in. So I thought, well, I'm going to go and get a recumbent bike, something I saw on TV. So this bike came. It was about like 150 pounds.
Oh my goodness!
So I got in all the parts, but I'm having to bring in some help to get the major part into the house. So that's what I'm going to be dealing with here.
Nice.
In a few moments. So, but again, I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching this wonderful network, and that, when you support us here at New Thought Media Network, that you are a world changer. You are changing lives by not proselytizing, but having that place or portal where individuals can find hope, they can find empowerment, they can find another way of taking a look at the world rather than just dealing with the elements the way that they are. So again, ntmedia.org/donate. And again, thank you to all who have donated. And Robert and I have some plans that we're still working on. Secret plans that we will not share on Signal. We won't be doing that. So All right. Well, listen, have a great weekend, everyone. Z, nice seeing you.
Yes, sir.
What are you doing on a Friday night? You're usually busy with your beautiful wife.
Yeah, well, there's some moments. Let's connect and look at the calendar. There's some moments, and we can take a story and go in depth, which would be great.
All right, really good. Again, thank you to everybody for watching today, and again, please watch all the great programs here on New Thought Media Network. Just go to our YouTube page, New Thought Media Network. One of the things I'm working on with Dr. Ruth Miller, who's now the president of Emerson Institute, one of the things I'm working on with her is a project and a show called New Thought Roots and Branches. And I'm telling you, it is, as the kids would say, it's off the chain.
Yeah.
It is really wonderful. Again, Ruth is, again, very scholarly approach over the years, and it's just a marvelous show. So how you access that is just to go on the New Thought Media Network YouTube page, and you'll find it. Just type in the actual search bar of YouTube, just type in New Thought Roots, and it'll come up. Great stuff.
I'll have to go check it out. I'll go check it out.
It's really good. I'm going to recommend it to all the people who are teaching New Thought history in our ministerial schools. I think that they'll learn a lot from taking a look. I know I have, just by producing the program. So on behalf of all of us here at the New Thought Media Network, I'm Reverend Michael. That's Reverend Z. We're going to wish you a very wonderful day and a pleasant week, and we'll see you right here at Ministers Talking Shit next week. Bye now.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.